Even without those long reading passages, reading comprehension is still a big part of the digital SAT. In this video, I'm going to give you a 4-step process for dealing with central ideas and details questions. And let me give you all 4 steps on an easy question here to model it for you, and then you can try some on your own. So I like to think of this as the QAPE strategy, and this QAPE strategy is going to be used on both central ideas and details, but also cross-text connections. And the Q means question because you're going to want to start with the question. The question being this main part of the question, right? So according to the text, what is one reason some archaeologists are interested in recovering scents from ancient artifacts? And part of the reason we're looking at the question first is to determine if we're dealing with central ideas or details. So if it's asking for one reason that some archaeologists are interested in recovering scents from ancient artifacts, that's a detail, right? So the question is either going to tell me if I'm looking for the main idea, or if it's a detail, it's going to tell me exactly what detail I'm looking for. The A in CAPE stands for analyze, and we're going to analyze the passage either looking for that main idea or looking for that specified detail. If it's a detail, we might get away with not reading the whole passage. So let's take a look here. I'm looking for archaeologists being interested, right? And just kind of scanning and skimming through, which I like to do if I can, I see growing interest to archaeologists, so that lines up with interest, who hope, that would be a reason, hope to use it to better understand ancient rituals, trade, social hierarchies, and medicine. So that seems to be the reason that some archaeologists are interested. So that's what I'm focusing on here. The P in CAPE is predict, and we're going to predict our answer. Based on what I underlined, that underlined portion could sort of serve as my prediction, but if you put it in your own words, you're more likely to have a better understanding of what's going on in general. So if I put this in my own words, I might say something like, to understand rituals, trade, social hierarchies, medicine. That's like basically just culture, right? To understand, I'll say the old culture, right? So that'll be my prediction. And then the E in CAPE is eliminate. We're going to eliminate answers that do not match my prediction. So choice A, they are investigating whether people's sense has declined. That doesn't line up at all with what I just said. So goodbye A. They believe sense could illuminate important aspects of ancient life. Illuminate, understand, ancient life, old, aspects, lines up with culture, right? So B totally works. It works so well that I would probably choose it and move on. But if you wanted to eliminate, we could see that they think sense would be enjoyable. No. They hope to develop new medicines. No. So that is the CAPE strategy for central ideas and details. Let's look at another easy question. This time we're going to look at one that has a main idea. And I have great confidence in you and I believe in you. So I want you to try this one on your own first using that CAPE strategy. It is a little bit different because it's a main idea, but see if you can figure it out. Pause the video, give it a go, but let me walk you through this. So Q, start with the question, tells us we're looking for the main idea. Where do main ideas live? Well, they tend to live either at the beginning or the end of paragraphs. Now that said, this is a pretty short paragraph. So I think I'm just going to read the whole thing, but let's pay attention to where we end up finding the main idea, and let's also pay attention to how I identify a main idea. NASA's Cassini probe has detected an unusual wobble in the rotation of Mima's, Saturn's smallest moon. Using a computer model to study Mima's gravitational interactions with Saturn and tidal forces, geophysicist Alyssa Roden and colleagues have proposed that this wobble could be due to a liquid ocean moving beneath the moon's icy surface. The researchers believe other moons should be examined to see if they too might have oceans hidden beneath their surfaces. What I'm getting from this, the main idea that I'm getting is these guys found a wobble, and we get that the wobble is the focus from the first sentence, but then also they've proposed that the wobble is due to a liquid ocean. So this one, even though it's rated as easy, it's kind of unusual that the main idea is, at least for me, spread out a little bit. Now, you might be wondering why I'm not focusing on this last part. They believe other moons should be examined to see if they too might have oceans hidden beneath their surface. This is more like a call to action or sort of a result of what they think they've discovered. It's not really the main idea of the text. It's just a suggestion that goes along with the main idea of the text, if that makes sense. So I've analyzed the passage. I've found my main idea. Now I'm going to predict the answer. And again, I'm going to kind of try to put it into my own words. I'm going to say they. I know who they are. It's like these science folks, right? They found a wobble / liquid. And that's just simplifying things for me. So if I go to eliminate, these guys were the first to confirm that several moons contain hidden oceans. No, they didn't confirm anything. They found a wobble. They think it's a liquid ocean. So no. B, research has failed to identify signs that there's an ocean beneath the surface of Mimas. Nope, that doesn't line up. These guys created a new computer model that identifies moons with hidden oceans without needing to analyze the moon's rotation. Again, nope. Research has revealed that an oddity in the rotation of Mimas could be explained by an ocean hidden beneath its surface. Yes, the oddity is the wobble. So contextually, it does say unusual wobble. So the word unusual helps us there, but I remembered that it was unusual, and wobble is kind of an odd and fun word anyway. Could be explained by a hidden ocean, liquid ocean. So D lines up and we are good to go.
And by the way, for all my fancy pants students out there, if you want some free stuff, I've got free stuff for you. Just click the link in the description. I've got workbooks, I've got cheat sheets, I've got really valuable, just free resources to help you study for your SAT. So make sure to check that out.
All right, let's look at a medium question now. And I want you to pause the video and try that QAPE strategy on your own first. But here we go. Question says we're looking for main idea. We can also see that we're dealing with an excerpt from an 1849 story, and it's pretty short. So again, with main idea, you can try to find it in the beginning and the end. I usually just say read through the whole thing because at the end of the day, they're really just not that long, right? During a pedestrian trip last summer through one or two of the river counties of New York, I found myself, as the day declined, somewhat embarrassed about the road I was pursuing. The land undulated very remarkably, and my path for the last hour had wound about and about so confusedly in its effort to keep in the valleys that I no longer knew in what direction lay the sweet village of B. Is that like a bad word or something? Where I had determined to stop for the night. Okay, so this is a little bit different. I should note that if you're dealing with fiction, the main idea is not necessarily going to be in the beginning or the end. It's also not going to be sort of like a cut and dry thing per se. It's more, you have to read the whole thing to get it a lot of the time. So for me, when I read that, if somebody asks me what happened, that's a good question to answer. What happened? What happened? This guy got lost is what I'm getting. And where am I getting that from? I found myself somewhat embarrassed about the road I was pursuing. It talks about how the land undulated very remarkably. My path wound about and about confusedly. And then the crux of it, I no longer knew in what direction lay the village of, I no longer knew where I was going, basically. So my prediction here is just like, guy got lost, pretty much is the main idea. All right. A, the narrator remembers a trip he took and admits to getting lost. All right, so that's going to be my answer. If it's that close to your prediction, go for it. Definitely, eliminate if you aren't feeling confident, but I just want to demonstrate if you have a good prediction, you can circle your answer or, not circle it. You can click your answer, you can move on, and you're good to go. Here's another medium one. Go ahead and try the QAPE strategy on your own first. Pause the video, but here we go. What does the text indicate about geological formation at mistaken point? Geological, all right, what does it indicate about this? So I know what I'm looking for. I know this is a detail. It also is really short, so if I have to read the whole thing, I don't care, but let's start reading and let's really focus on geological formation, mistaken point. Paleontologists searching for signs of ancient life have found many fossilized specimens of prehistoric human ancestors. including several from the Pleistocene era discovered in a geological formation in the Minatagawa Quarry in Japan. So I see geological formation, but it's not talking about the mistaken point. However, that's important. This is going to contrast with whatever we just saw. To study the emergence of the earliest multicellular organisms. So it's talking about in the first sentence how they found a lot of ancient life, but this is saying to find the earliest, researchers must turn elsewhere, such as the geological formation at mistaken point. Bingo. All right. So I would actually stop there because I think I have what I need. For me, it's indicating that the earliest life is here, is at this point, right? So that's going to be my prediction. Let's get rid of some answers. It holds a great number of fossils, but from a smaller variety. Nope. It has provided evidence that the earliest species may have emerged before. Nope, because I want just earliest life is here, basically. It is widely considered by paleontologists to be the most valuable source about prehistoric life forms. Valuable? No, I'm looking for earliest. It contains specimens from an older time period than those found in the formation of the other quarry. This works. So it's not saying the earliest life is here exactly, but it is saying older than the other one that was mentioned before. That also totally lines up. So my prediction here wasn't perfect, but it still led me to the right answer. So choice D is my answer. All right, we got a hard question here. Try it on your own first. Pause the video, but here we go. This time it's asking for main idea. So let's get into it. For centuries, the widespread acknowledgement of the involvement of the cerebellum, and I'm going to just ignore this because it's kind of non-essential information between two dashes, in coordinating motor control in humans has hindered recognition of other possible functions of the structure. So acknowledgement of this structure in motor control. So I'm going to say acknowledgement in motor control. And the reason that I'm kind of slowing myself down here is because this is very scientific and I want to make sure I understand what's going on because of the jargon. Whereas some of these simpler texts, I feel like I can kind of just brush through it. Has hindered recognition of other possible functions. So that's what I'm focusing on so far. Neuroscience research from the last 2 decades now suggests, so this is telling me we're about to see what the change is, that the cerebellum regulates emotion and social behavior. And recent research by these guys has identified a pathway connecting it to a center for motivation and reward. All right. If we're focusing on main idea, I don't necessarily care about the details. So I'm getting details of emotional and social behavior, but then I'm also getting details about motivation and reward. The big idea for me is that they used to think it was just motor control. Now they think there's other stuff. Because again, it's main idea, right? So it should be pretty straightforward like that. So I'll say used to think just motor, now other stuff. And to be clear, you could definitely use your note-taking tool on Blue Book and write stuff like this down if it is helpful to you. That said, I know a lot of students, myself included, and yes, I am a lifelong student. I don't like to take notes. For me, it's a waste of time. I have no problem keeping this note in my head. So I'm writing it down so that you can see what I'm thinking. But to be clear, it's going to vary from student to student whether you actually should be writing these down. So it's up to you. Anyway, let's eliminate. The recent verification of the pathways between the VTA and cerebellum confirms cerebellum's long suspected role in motor coordination. No. It said that they've known forever that it has to do with motor control. So A is out. B, recent advances in the field have challenged widely accepted claims about the function of a pathway connecting. Okay, so this one might be tempting because it says challenged, and we know that something is being challenged, but it says challenged claims about the function of a pathway. That's not exactly what I wrote. I said we used to think just motor, now other stuff. Not really talking about a pathway per se, so I'm going to get rid of B. C, cerebellum has primarily been thought to regulate motor functioning. We used to think just motor. That works so far. But in recent years, neuroscience researchers have been uncovering additional functions, now other stuff. See how beautiful that is? So I'm pretty confident C is my answer. So confident that I'm going to circle it before I eliminate D, but let's just eliminate D real quick. Technological limitations have historically hindered the study of the cerebellum. All right, I mean, straight up, that first part, no, that doesn't work at all. So D is out. Let's look at another hard one here. Another hard one that has some fiction in it, right? So try to remember what we said about fiction in the last one. Pause the video, try the QAPE strategy on your own first, but here we go. Based on the text, how do people in the capital of Mexico most likely regard Dr. Malsafrido? That's a cool name. Okay, so this is actually a detailed question. So we want to know what people in the capital of Mexico think of this guy. What do they think of him? That's what I'm looking for. I'm going to notice that this is from 1914, so over 100 years ago. That might be handy to know. A lot of the time, words will be used in different ways than we're used to, so something to kind of look out for. But let's get into this. It is a saying in the capital of Mexico. So if it's a saying, I would say that is the people in the capital of Mexico, that Dr. Malsafrido carries more family secrets under his hat than any archbishop. Okay, so we want to know what they think of him. Right now, we know that there's a saying that he has a lot of family secrets. So far, that's our context. The doctor's hat is, appropriately enough, uncommonly capacious. So capacious, what the heck does that mean? When I think of capacious, I think of spacious. Basically, it's really big. It's a really big hat. But let's pretend like we don't know what that means. How can we sort of figure it out? Well, it goes on to say more about it. Rising very high and sinking so low that it seems to be supported by his ears and eyebrows. So we get the idea that this is a very big hat. And it has a furry look, as if it had been brushed the wrong way, which is perhaps what happens to it if it is ever brushed at all. All right. So far, we've got that this guy seems to have a lot of family secrets, and he has a really big hat. What did they think of him? I don't know if I know yet. Let's read the last sentence here. When the doctor takes it off, the family secrets do not fly out like a flock of parrots, but remain nicely bottled up beneath a dome of old and highly polished ivory. Whoa. Remain nicely bottled up. Okay. So this is kind of crazy, but what I'm getting from this is he has a lot of family secrets, but he's not letting them fly out. He's not telling secrets. So I'm going to infer, and this is a bit of an inference, just because I have to deal with the figurative language here, but I'm going to say something along the lines of he won't tell his secrets, something like that, right? All right, let's eliminate. Many have come to tolerate him despite his appearance. No. They may have talked a little bit of smack about his hat, but that wasn't really the main point, right? Few feel concerned that he will divulge their confidences. All right. So this one definitely requires knowing what divulge means, but divulge is to tell or to like give away, to say something that perhaps you shouldn't say. Their confidences would be secrets. I said he won't tell his secrets, but I guess it would be like family secrets. So this one definitely lines up. It's saying they don't think that he'll tell their secrets. So that's close for sure. Some dislike how freely he discusses his own family. No, it says that he doesn't discuss his family. And D, most would be unimpressed by him were it not for his professional expertise. That doesn't line up with it at all. So yeah, it's definitely going to be choice B. So the QAPE strategy did not let us down that time. These questions are still definitely going to require more time than most, but with this strategy, they're going to go a lot faster. Of course, not nearly as fast as rhetorical synthesis questions. If you're spending more than 30 seconds on these, watch this video next.